Something strange is happening in our solar system right now, and most people have no idea. On January 22nd, 2026, Earth lined up almost perfectly between the Sun and a visitor from another star system. The alignment was so precise, less than 1 degree off, that astronomers had been waiting for it for months. The Hubble Space Telescope was watching, and what it found raised more questions than it answered. This is the story of 3I Atlas, and what happens next may change everything. So let me tell you what Hubble discovered. When comets get close to the Sun, they heat up. Ice turns to gas, and that gas shoots out into space, creating what astronomers call jets. Think of it like a tea kettle whistling, except instead of steam, it's releasing gas and dust into the vacuum of space. These jets usually point away from the Sun because solar wind and radiation push the material outward. That's just basic physics. Now, here's where 3I Atlas gets weird. Hubble found 4 jets coming off this thing, and one of them, the biggest one, is pointing directly at the Sunday, not away from it, at it. That shouldn't happen. It's like watching smoke from a campfire fall downward instead of rising. The jet extends at least 400,000 kilometers, which is roughly the distance from Earth to the Moon, and it just keeps pushing through all that solar radiation without getting blown back. But that's not even the strangest part. The other 3 jets are arranged at exactly 120 degrees apart from each other. If you picture a circle divided into 3 equal slices, that's what we're talking about. Perfect symmetry. And as the object rotates, these jets rotate with it, sweeping across space like lighthouse beams. This pattern has shown up in every single observation since November 2025. Same geometry, same impossible symmetry, every time astronomers looked. One researcher put it this way: among the 18 anomalies of 3I Atlas, we still do not know the nature of the anti-tail that allows it to penetrate hundreds of thousands of kilometers through the solar wind and radiation without being deflected away from the Sunday. Jets that point the wrong way, symmetry that shouldn't exist in nature. So what exactly is this thing? Let's go back to the beginning. July 1st, 2025. A telescope in Chile called ATLAS, which stands for Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, picked up something moving way too fast. 137,000 miles per hour. That made it the fastest interstellar visitor ever recorded. To help you picture that speed, at 137,000 miles per hour, you could travel from New York to Los Angeles in about 40 seconds. You could reach the Moon in under 2 hours. And it was coming from the direction of Sagittarius, a constellation near the center of our galaxy, the heart of the Milky Way. Scientists gave it a name: 3I Atlas. The 3I part, written as the number 3 and the letter I, means it's the 3rd confirmed interstellar object to ever pass through our solar system. Interstellar means it came from outside our solar system, from the space between stars. The first one was called Oumuamua back in 2017. The second was Borisov in 2019. But this one was different. Way different. For starters, it's huge. The solid core measures somewhere between 440 meters and 5.6 kilometers across. To give you some perspective, that upper estimate is bigger than some asteroids that have their own names. It's massively larger than both previous interstellar visitors combined. As it got closer to the Sun, gravity pulled it faster, which is normal. At perihelion, which is the fancy term for its closest point to the Sun, 3I Atlas hit 153,000 miles per hour. Then it swung around and started heading back out into space, slowing down as expected. Well, mostly as expected. There were some parts that physics didn't quite predict, but we'll get to that. Now here's where it gets really wild. Scientists estimate this object is somewhere between 7 and 14 billion years old. Just sit with that for a second. Our Sun is 4.6 billion years old. Earth is 4.5 billion. The entire solar system, every planet, every moon, every asteroid, all of it formed from a cloud of gas and dust about 4.6 billion years ago. This object is potentially older than all of it. Older than our star, older than our planet, older than everything we've ever known. It existed before our Sun even ignited, before the planets formed, before there was a solar system for it to visit. before the atoms that make up our bodies were assembled in the cores of ancient stars. Where did it come from originally? What star system created it? Nobody knows. That star might not even exist anymore. It could have exploded billions of years ago. It could have collapsed into a white dwarf. It could have been swallowed by a black hole. 3I Atlas has been drifting through the cold, dark void between stars for longer than Earth has existed. Alone in what scientists call the interstellar medium, which is basically the empty space between solar systems where almost nothing exists. Temperatures near absolute zero. No light except the faint glow of distant stars. Billions of years of that. And now, finally, it's here, passing through our little corner of the cosmos. Here's the timeline of how it all unfolded. July 1st, 2025. Discovery. October 3rd. 3I Atlas passed Mars, coming within 29 million kilometers. October 29th. Perihelion, its closest approach to the Sunday. And here's something interesting. During this passage, the object was hidden behind the Sun from Earth's perspective. We couldn't observe it at all during the most critical moment. November 3rd. Past Venus. November 19th. NASA held a press conference. Their official conclusion? Definitely a comet of natural origin. December 19th. Closest approach to Earth at 269 million kilometers. December 31st. And this is where it gets strange. The CIA issued what's called a Glomar response to a Freedom of Information request about 3I Atlas. We'll come back to what that means. January 22nd, 2026. The opposition alignment. That's when Hubble captured new data, revealing those 4 jets and all that impossible geometry we talked about. And coming up next, March 16th, 2026. The Jupiter encounter. That's the one everyone's waiting for. But here's the thing. Between discovery and now, anomalies started piling up, one after another. Things that shouldn't happen kept happening. Scientists have documented 18 of them so far. Let me walk you through the major ones. The first anomaly is something called extreme negative polarization. Here's what that means in plain English. When light bounces off an object, it vibrates in specific directions. Scientists can measure these vibrations, and it tells them about what the object is made of and what its surface looks like. 3I Atlas shows a polarization pattern that's never been seen before. Not in any comet in our solar system, not in any asteroid, not even in the previous interstellar visitors. The data suggests a surface or composition that simply doesn't exist in any of our scientific catalogs. The second anomaly is that anti-tail jet we already discussed. A massive stream of material pointing directly at the Sun, extending 400,000 kilometers, somehow pushing through all that solar radiation without getting blown back. Nobody has a satisfying explanation for how this is possible. The third anomaly is those 3 symmetric mini-jets at exactly 120-degree separation. Perfect geometric symmetry in what should be a chaotic, random, natural process. And it shows up every single time astronomers observe the object. The fourth anomaly is what scientists are calling the heartbeat. After passing the Sun, 3I Atlas rotates once every 7.1 hours. The jets wobble back and forth by about 20 degrees with each rotation. And the brightness pulses by roughly 30% in sync with all of this, like a heartbeat. But here's another weird detail. Before it passed closest to the Sun, observations suggested a slower rotation of about 16 hours. After perihelion, it sped up to 7 hours. Something changed. Something happened when it got close to the Sunday. The fifth anomaly involves the dust particles being shed from this object. They're 10 to 100 micrometers in size, which is up to 100 times larger than dust from normal comets. Why does that matter? Because large particles behave differently. They have less surface area relative to their mass, so they resist being pushed away by sunlight. Instead of dispersing like normal cometary dust, they linger and form structures. This completely defies how comets are supposed to behave. The sixth anomaly is the trajectory itself. 3I Atlas travels within 5 degrees of what's called the ecliptic plane. That's the flat disk where all the planets orbit, basically the floor of our solar system. The chance of an interstellar object randomly arriving at this specific angle? About 1 in 500. And look at the path it took. Close to Mars, close to Venus, close to Earth, close to Jupiter. A tour of the major planets. Some researchers have pointed out this would be the ideal path for something conducting an observational survey. Oh, and remember how it was hidden behind the Sun during perihelion, invisible from Earth at exactly the moment it was experiencing the most activity. Convenient timing, if you think about it. The seventh anomaly is the chemical composition. 87% carbon dioxide, 9% carbon monoxide, about 4% water. But here's the strange part. The object contains nickel without iron. In nature, nickel and iron almost always occur together. Finding nickel alone is unusual. It's actually reminiscent of how nickel is processed industrially. There's more. Before perihelion, space telescopes detected icy fragments around 3I Atlas. After perihelion, the signature of ice just disappeared. Instead, organic molecules showed up, including methanol, formaldehyde, methane, and ethane, and water production jumped by a factor of 20. These organic molecules must have been buried under at least 10 meters of material to survive billions of years of cosmic ray bombardment during interstellar travel. They were protected, hidden beneath the surface, and only revealed when the sun's heat dug deep enough to expose them. The eighth anomaly is something called non-gravitational acceleration. In simple terms, 3I Atlas accelerated in ways that gravity alone doesn't explain. Now, comets can accelerate a little bit when they release gas, because the jets act like tiny thrusters. But to produce the acceleration observed in 3I Atlas would require evaporating at least 13% of its total mass. Yet the object held together just fine. It didn't break apart. It didn't fragment. So the acceleration appears finely tuned, adjusted, precise. The ninth anomaly involves those jets again. With a 16-hour rotation period, jets shooting out from a spinning object should smear across the sky. The rotation should blur them into arcs or spirals, like spinning a sparkler in the dark. But that's not what the data shows. The jets remain tightly focused, extending over 1 million kilometers while maintaining their direction despite the rotation. One explanation offered by researchers, and this is a direct quote, is technological thrusters which preserve global orientation. And there's one more geometric coincidence worth mentioning. The rotation axis of 3I Atlas is pointed at the Sun to within 7 degrees. Combined with the trajectory alignment, each of these has less than a 1% probability on its own. Together, the combined probability of both occurring by chance is less than 1 in 10,000. 18 documented anomalies as of January 2026. When researchers multiply the probabilities of all these independent anomalies occurring together in the same object by random chance, the combined probability approaches 0. Now, here's where the story takes an interesting turn. August 15, 1977, almost 50 years ago. Ohio State University had a radio telescope called Big Ear. Its job was to scan the sky looking for signals, patterns in the noise, something artificial among all the natural static of the cosmos. Then one night, it detected something, a powerful radio burst. It lasted exactly 72 seconds, which happens to be the exact duration the telescope's beam would take to pass over a fixed point in space. The signal was so striking that astronomer Jerry Eman circled it on the printout and wrote "Wow" in red ink. That's literally what it's been called ever since, the wow signal. It was 30 times louder than the background noise. And here's the really interesting part. It came on the hydrogen line frequency, 21 centimeters. Scientists had long theorized that if extraterrestrial civilizations wanted to communicate across the cosmos, they might use this frequency, because hydrogen is the most common element in the universe. Any intelligent species studying the cosmos would know about it. Despite decades of follow-up observations, hundreds of searches, thousands of hours of telescope time, the signal was never detected again. It came once, then it vanished. It remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The origin of the WOW signal? The constellation Sagittarius, in the direction of the galactic center. Now here's the coincidence. 3I Atlas also arrived from Sagittarius. If you trace its trajectory backward, the object came from the same region of sky. The directions are aligned to within approximately 9 degrees. Out of a full sphere of 41,000 square degrees, both phenomena point to roughly the same patch of cosmos. The chance of two random sky directions being this close? About 0.6%, less than 1 in 150. Two unexplained phenomena, both from deep space, both from the same direction, separated by 48 years. According to calculations, back in 1977, 3I Atlas would have been at approximately 600 astronomical units from Earth. That's far beyond the planets. Beyond the Kuiper Belt. Out in the cold outer reaches where our sun is just another bright star among millions. For 65 years, humanity has searched for radio signals from the stars, building bigger telescopes, refining our searches, listening and listening and listening. Maybe we should have been looking for the quiet ones, the ones that don't broadcast, the ones that don't announce themselves, the ones that simply arrive. Now let's talk about what the institutions have said. November 19, 2025, NASA held a press conference about 3I Atlas. Their conclusion: definitely a comet of natural origin. Case closed, at least according to them. But here's what's interesting. NASA officials didn't mention the trajectory alignment. They didn't mention the rotation axis pointing at the Sunday. They didn't mention the geometric anomalies, the symmetric jets, the unprecedented polarization. As one researcher observed, obviously, if one ignores the unexplained anomalies of 3I Atlas, one would conclude that there is nothing surprising about it. The easiest way to argue that we fully understand something is by ignoring what we do not understand about it. Then there's the Mars situation. A high-resolution camera on a spacecraft orbiting Mars captured data during the flyby. This was from about 18.6 million miles away, which is relatively close in astronomical terms. What NASA released was heavily degraded. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers from over 200 million miles away, more than 10 times the distance, captured clearer data than the official release. This sparked accusations that NASA was deliberately withholding information. Whether that's true or not, nobody knows for certain, but the comparison raised eyebrows. Then came December 31, 2025. Someone filed a Freedom of Information Act request for documents related to 3I Atlas. That's a standard legal procedure for anyone who wants government records on a topic of public interest. The CIA's response? We can neither confirm nor deny the existence of such records. This is called a Glomar response. It's named after a ship involved in a secret Cold War operation. It's the same language used for classified national security matters, for covert operations, for things the government doesn't want to acknowledge exist at all. Here's the question that raises: why would the CIA have classified records on an interstellar comet? If it's just a natural comet, why the silence? All right, March 16, 2026. This is the date everyone's watching. That's when 3I Atlas encounters Jupiter, the largest planet in our solar system, a gas giant with more mass than all the other planets combined. And this is where things get really interesting. Every planet has something called a Hill radius. Let me explain what that means. Gravity works like a tug of war. The sun pulls on everything in the solar system. But close to a planet, that planet's gravity can overpower the sun's pull. The Hill radius is the boundary where this happens. It's the edge of a planet's gravitational territory. Inside the Hill radius, a planet can capture objects and hold on to them as moons. Outside it, the sun's gravity wins and pulls objects away. Think of it like a sphere of influence around each planet. Cross inside that boundary, and the planet controls your fate. Stay outside, and the sun decides where you go. Jupiter's Hill radius on March 16th will be about 53.5 million kilometers. That's roughly one-third the distance from Sun to Earth. Now here's the remarkable part. 3I Atlas's closest approach to Jupiter is forecasted at 53.6 million kilometers. Those numbers are nearly identical. 3I Atlas will skim the exact edge of Jupiter's gravitational territory, not deep inside where it would likely be captured, not far outside where Jupiter's influence fades to nothing. right at the boundary. The precise position where something could be deposited into Jupiter's orbit without the carrier being captured itself. Some researchers have called this the most remarkable coincidence of the entire encounter. And remember that non-gravitational acceleration we talked about? The mysterious push that physics can't fully explain? That acceleration shifted the trajectory just enough to create this alignment. Without it, 3I Atlas would have missed the Hill radius entirely. But here's the complication. 3I Atlas is moving at 66 kilometers per second relative to Jupiter. That's incredibly fast. The escape velocity at the Hill radius, which is the speed something needs to actually stay in orbit, is only 2.2 kilometers per second. For anything to separate from 3I Atlas and enter orbit around Jupiter, it would need to cancel almost all that velocity. 66 kilometers per second down to less than 2. That's a massive, violent change in speed. When comets naturally break apart, the pieces drift away slowly, a few meters per second, maybe a few hundred at most during dramatic events, not tens of thousands. The physics don't allow for natural fragmentation to achieve this. For something to enter Jupiter's orbit from 3I Atlas, the maneuver would need to be precisely designed and intentionally executed. Jupiter currently has 95 known moons. If a new moon appears after March 16th, a 96th moon that wasn't there before, that would be what scientists call a clear technological signature, because natural processes simply cannot do this. Not at these velocities, not with this precision. The Juno spacecraft is currently orbiting Jupiter and will be monitoring the encounter. Earth's largest telescopes will also be watching. Hubble, James Webb, observatories around the world. Whatever happens at Jupiter, we will know about it. As one researcher put it, stay curious and get your popcorn ready by March 16th. Now, it's important to hear the other side of this. Not everyone agrees with the extraordinary interpretations, and that's exactly how science is supposed to work. Jason Wright, an astronomer at Penn State, argues that all these anomalies are exactly the sorts of things you might expect from a new kind of comet. One from another star system that formed under completely different conditions than anything in our solar system. He says, "None of them are evidence, it's a spacecraft. There's no reason spacecraft would do these things. There are lots of reasons comets from another solar system would." Samantha Lawler, another astronomer, states, "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. The evidence presented is absolutely not extraordinary." Darrell Seligman led the first published study on 3I Atlas. His conclusion: numerous telescopic observations demonstrate it's displaying classical signatures of cometary activity. Steve Desch, a planetary scientist, claims the calculations about dust behavior are wrong. He argues the unusual interpretations misunderstand basic cometary physics. These are legitimate scientific perspectives. Scientists disagree all the time. That's how knowledge advances, through debate and evidence and testing ideas against reality. But here's the counter-argument worth considering. Many of these anomalies weren't predicted ahead of time. Nobody said before 3I Atlas arrived, a comet from another star system would show these specific features. The explanations came after the observations, trying to fit unexpected data into existing frameworks. To be fair, nobody predicted that alien spacecraft would show these specific features either. The scientific method involves proposing interpretations when faced with data that doesn't fit past understanding. That's not wild speculation. That's just science doing what science does. The anomalies remain unexplained. The debate continues. So who's the scientist behind most of this anomaly research? It's worth knowing who's making these claims. Avi Loeb is the Baird Professor of Science at Harvard University. He served as chair of the Harvard Astronomy Department from 2011 to 2020. He founded Harvard's Black Hole Initiative. He directs the Institute for Theory and Computation at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. He was a member of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. He chaired the board on physics and astronomy of the National Academies. He's written best-selling books including Extraterrestrial and Interstellar. This is not some fringe voice on the internet. This is Harvard, one of the most credentialed astronomers in the world. And here's his actual position on 3I Atlas, which is more nuanced than critics sometimes suggest. He publicly states, "The most likely outcome will be that 3I Atlas is a completely natural object, probably a comet." He estimates approximately 30 to 40% probability that it's technological. He ranks it at 4 on his own scale, where 0 means definitely natural rock and 10 means confirmed alien technology. So even he thinks it's more likely natural than not, but he believes the questions deserve to be asked. His philosophy: science needs to be viewed as a continuous process rather than a finished product. He often quotes physicist Erwin Schrödinger: "The task is not so much to see what no one has yet seen, but to think what nobody has yet thought about that which everybody sees." He's asking questions others won't ask, not because he's certain of the answers, but because he believes ignoring the questions is worse than asking them. 3I Atlas is leaving. After the Jupiter encounter on March 16, 2026, it continues outward. July 2026, it passes Saturn's orbit. April 2027, it crosses Uranus's orbit. March 2028, it passes Neptune's orbit. Then it enters the void between stars. Gone forever, never to return. Not in our lifetimes, not in our children's lifetimes, not ever. This is humanity's only chance to study this object. The window is narrow, the clock is ticking. Whatever 3I Atlas is, a natural wonder or something else entirely, the data collected right now is all we will ever have. After March 2028, it'll be too far and too faint for even our most powerful telescopes to detect. Just another cold, dark speck drifting through the infinite black between stars. The answers are not waiting for us. They are passing through. So here's what we actually know. An object older than our solar system, potentially older than most stars in the galaxy, traveling faster than any interstellar visitor we've ever recorded, carrying material that has journeyed through the void for somewhere between 7 and 14 billion years. Arriving from the same direction as the WOW signal, that mysterious 72-second burst detected in 1977 that has never been explained. 48 years after that transmission, something physical shows up from the same patch of sky. With jets that point the wrong way, a massive anti-tail pushing against the sun when every law of physics says it should be pushed away, symmetry that shouldn't exist in a chaotic natural process. Polarization patterns never recorded in any known object. A trajectory that threads the planets perfectly. Mars, Venus, Earth, Jupiter, hidden behind the sun during the most critical observation window. Rotation axis pointed at the sun to within 7 degrees. Combined probability of these alignments occurring by chance, less than 1 in 10,000. Arriving at Jupiter's gravitational boundary with impossible precision, and that precision only exists because of unexplained acceleration that shouldn't be there. Heartbeat like pulsing, nickel without iron, organic molecules buried deep beneath the surface for billions of years. 18 documented anomalies, each one unusual on its own, together statistically approaching impossible. NASA says it's a comet. The CIA won't talk about it. Scientists are arguing about what it means. The debate continues in academic papers and press conferences and late-night conversations among people who look up at the stars and wonder. Maybe it is a comet, the strangest comet ever observed, a once-in-civilization event that happens to defy everything we thought we knew. A natural object that just happens to tick every box on a very long list of anomalies. Coincidence stacked on coincidence stacked on coincidence. Maybe that's all it is. Or maybe it's something else. Maybe after 65 years of searching for signals from the stars, radio waves, laser pulses, electromagnetic signatures of every kind, the answer was always going to be different. Something that doesn't announce itself. Something that doesn't broadcast. Something that simply arrives. Maybe the universe is trying to tell us something, and maybe we're finally ready to listen. Or maybe we're not. Maybe we'll explain away each anomaly one by one. File it all under unusual but natural. Move on. Forget. 3I Atlas doesn't care either way. It's been traveling for billions of years. It'll keep traveling for billions more. Long after humanity is gone, Whether we expand to the stars or vanish from this planet, 3I Atlas will still be out there. Drifting through the dark between stars, a silent witness to the rise and fall of civilizations it has never met and never will. But right now, in this brief moment, it's passing through our tiny corner of the cosmos, a visitor that spent longer getting here than complex life has existed on Earth, giving us a glimpse of something ancient, something mysterious, something that challenges everything we think we understand. March 16, 2026, Jupiter. Whatever happens there, we'll be watching. The data collected in the coming weeks will be studied for decades by scientists not yet born, looking for answers to questions we haven't even learned to ask yet. Once the truth is seen, there's no going back. And 3I Atlas is still out there,